What if every network gets their own streaming service until we come full circle and a basic cable again? For years, I said I'd give up the pirate life if I could get subscription-based access to a good selection of content. Shortly after Netflix streaming became a thing, I hung up my pirate tools. We were happy. Then, Hulu came out. We subscribed. Then Amazon Prime started their service. We were already subscribers. I declared no more streaming services for us. Then Disney Plus came out, and I really wanted to watch Hamilton and The Mandalorian. I pirated them. It was great. Then I pirated a bunch of other stuff we hadn't been able to watch. I set up a media server to organize content and stream it to all of our TVs. Now, I have access to all of the TV shows that I want. I can get any movie in a few minutes. My family loves it. Why do I need Netflix/Hulu/Prime? Great job, networks. You've finally made it worth my time to me cut the cord. That was the original idea behind cable TV. One of the first that I remember was HBO. You bought a special antenna and converter box and paid for a subscription. They offered most movies with no commercials. Then there were a few other providers that you could purchase an antenna for. Then came your basic cable company where they offered you local and regional news and sports with commercials and a whole bunch of movie channels with no commercials. The idea was that you paid the subscription so that you don't have to watch commercials. Now here we are paying to watch commercials. On top of that you have shows that repeat the last 10 seconds that showed before the commercial, right after the commercial. The no commercials on early cable trope is a widely told, incorrect myth. It was never the original idea behind cable TV. Cable service started in the 1940s as a way for communities in mountain valleys to get TV signals brought into their homes because those signals were blocked by the mountains. It was just literally an antenna on a hillside that grabbed over-the-air network signals and ran them on wire to local homes. So, if those networks have commercials, so did the cable transmission of those networks. A couple decades later there were a few exclusive networks on cable, all entirely local and trapped within the cable system. They were part of your cable package. All had commercials. HBO, started in 1972, was the outlier in charging a special premium to access their commercial-free content. That was in contrast to Superstation WTBS, which charged your cable providers a fee based on the number of that cable system's subscribers, and also always ran commercials on its station. These were, respectively, the first premium and basic cable television stations, and their model, premium equals no commercials, and basic equals commercials, is still used today. Many cable companies also had local public access channels that were only broadcast in that community. Some had commercials. Others didn't. These companies don't understand that 90% of piracy isn't because people want free shit, it's because they want convenience. Why would I go through 12 different websites and having Google where a specific movie or series can be viewed when I can go to one place, get what I want, and manage it all with Plex? There was an article I read years ago. They did the research and found that with streaming services, piracy went down, a lot. People are okay with paying a small fee to stream content legally. But they did warn in the article that if there were too many streaming services with content that people wanted to see, piracy would go up again. And here we are. Loads of streaming services with content that people want to watch, and it's either cough up more money, get the password from a friend, or pirate. I have better things to spend my money on, so do my friends, so, it's a pirate's life for me. Gabe Newell with Steam basically said this. As a service you are competing with pirating websites not on price but convenience. Have a service that is more convenient and people will pay. Which is what Steam basically is, a place where you can have all your games in one place, with a wish list, with reviews and everything else. I stopped pirating because it was easier to use Steam and download the games I wanted instead of heading to find a game plus its RIP and making sure it was from someone I actually trusted. And having seeds for it. Divvying everything up, it's less convenient now and I'm not willing to pay plus have to navigate 3 to 4 different services to find what I want. And this is exactly why Steam is cornering the market. Exclusive content behind a paywall equals piracy. Non-exclusive content with better amenities or convenience equals no piracy. When people talk about pirating I always bring up Paramount versus the US in the late 40s/early 50s. Exclusives in streaming services are like a movie production company that also owns the theaters, which effectively creates a captive audience in the theater. It resulted in tons of illegal small theaters that just played what people wanted to see, and eventually that brought the case all the way up to the SC, where we determined that this was grounds for a monopoly breakup. Now we're seeing the same thing, except protesting is easier because piracy is easier. Shows shouldn't be exclusive. If you want to be the best streaming platform, you should have to have a great selection and great amenities, not just the best ability to hoard good movies. Edit, added links so you all can see the case I'm talking about. What do you mean what if? It's happening now. Once the contracts expire, Netflix and Amazon will be losing content hand over fist. The only way to watch it will be to pay for individual subscriptions. Giving it about 2 years before these assholes start forcing people into 1 or 2 year contracts. Bank on it. What's happening with the internet is exactly what happened with cable, but too many of you are too young to know cable used to be commercial free because we were paying for it. Now there's Hulu. And then they start raising prices because nobody else offers that much content. Then they hit upon the brilliant notion of leveraging their enormous consumer base to sell advertising spots and make even more money. Eventually the declining quality of the service gets out of hand, and a budding entrepreneur realizes that they can provide most of the same content but cut out the bloat. The new service grows rapidly, requiring equally rapid expansion/acquisition of more data centers and server farms to keep up with demand. All of this hardware requires a lot of oversight and maintenance, and the founders are forced to hire more basic staff, along with managers to help keep track of it all. A few years down the line the company finds itself with a board of directors heading up a massive organization. Continuous development and expansion has added many new features to their product, and the board decides that the added functionality and convenience, along with the ever-increasing overhead cost of maintaining the product on such a large scale, justifies raising the price. Through all this, advertising companies have become increasingly interested in the potential of the product to reach millions and millions of consumers. The board has been pretty divided on the issue, torn between providing the best possible product to preserve customer loyalty and the lure of the now staggering amounts of money being offered by advertisers. Eventually greed wins, and some space is made to squeeze in ads. Customers grow dissatisfied, and competitors seize the opportunity to swoop in and fill the gap in the market. And the cycle continues. I use it. My wife really likes Patty's Mexican Kitchen. There's a few other good shows too. I don't have any streaming TV subscriptions at all. Prime Video comes with my Prime subscription, which I'd have anyway. My wife has Netflix but only because her parents use it, we rarely watch it. I do have Fubo TV, which is really more like cable, because my wife and I like sports, we don't watch it for any other reason. I always find it amazing that TV is such a huge part of people's lives that they'll pay $200 for cable or have 8 different streaming services. If it wasn't for sports my wife and I could easily go 2 to 3 weeks without turning the TV on at all. Sometimes we do during the off-seasons. I just remembered, I do have Apple TV Plus but only because it came free when I bought a computer. It's got a couple of good shows. The morning show was good and my wife and I loved Ted Lasso. Between Amazon, Netflix, IMDb/Pluto TV and Disney Plus you can pretty much watch anything for less than what it costs for basic cable. Most of it is ad-free as well. Guess can toss Crunchyroll in there for anime fans. The news is trash and most cable is just loaded with ads. Better to buy internet-cable package and simply sub to a handful of streaming services that cover your needs without going overboard. Between just Amazon, Netflix and Disney it's $38/mo and they're always rotating new shows/movies in. If you want science/history just go on YouTube, there's endless shows factual that cater to little science facts and phenomena on Physics Girl, Smarter Every Day, Veritasium, Numberpile, and several others. You can even find 2S and tons of free college lectures on various subjects from a few universities that they've put up themselves: Stanford, MIT,